Alright, so we are here. It's Christ Evangelical Lutheran Church, and this is the one. Apparently it would be the parsonage right back there is what I believe would be the parsonage where that John Schultz was actually born. He was a pastor's son, I believe. Like I said, that other governor, I have to look up what his name was, but he was the first pastor of Frieden's Lutheran Church down in Myerstown, which is about 3 miles. Yeah, there you can have it. They had the memory of our pastors, Chrissy Schultz, so that would probably be the John Schultz's father, I would assume. Maybe it was his brother, because I think they said he was born 1775. But, wow. But this was, the first church was erected in 1743. This is the second church because they have the stone up top that says 1786. Then they remodeled it 1885, and then rebuilding of the second church 1888. I have never actually ever been here. It's a really, really neat church building, actually. It's another one of these like really like the Tulpahawken Reformed Church. Just a beautiful stonework. Let me quick get around this thing here, and then I can come up to the front, give you guys a little bit better of a view. But this is right down over there are some of these other stone buildings that are really, it's like you almost would think that this was sort of a like a manor or a plantation or something like that, to have that many stone buildings, to have that many standing still. I mean, the one's in pretty bad shape, which we may drive back around there again, but it's just beautiful church. Like, the stonework on this is amazing. Places like this are just an absolute pleasure to come and visit. This is the newer part of the cemetery. We will go over to the old, and that's Revolutionary War period there. Because the first church, which was probably a log structure, was built in 1743, and then this was the second structure built in 1786. So, I mean, just look at that. I'm assuming limestone, but just impressive. This is cool. What does this say? November 2nd, 1879. Dedicated. I would assume that's what that stands for. So that was probably when they rebuilt it again. And they have that back section that they probably added on, which was the rebuilding. But that, man, that's impressive. It's a beautiful church, beautiful structure. And like I said earlier, like the Reformed Church is right down the road that direction. This is Stouchsburg, Pennsylvania. The other one's probably more Millardsville. But wow. Alright, well, I'm gonna get a couple pictures of this, and then we'll be back over at the cemetery. Alright, so we are now in the cemetery. There are some really neat stones here. Like, just look at these stones. Like, sure, they all like mean something too, like just different. There's a significance to it, but what it is, this I think is phenomenal. Like, look at that. It's obviously an angel, but that is just like, wow. I spent a little time taking some pictures of these different stones just because how unique. I've never seen stuff like that before. You know, I haven't been doing this terribly long, but just, you just look at that. It's just, wow. Really is impressive. And there's a skull and crossbones, but it has like the angel wings as well. They just have this ancient, some of these stones, like these browner type stones, they're a little different type of stone than, let me just pause here just quick. Alright, so whenever it gets really cold like this, my phone apparently, I'm assuming, doesn't like it, and then it decides it doesn't want to work with me. So I was at this really cool marker here. I want to quick do this, and then I want to quick run around the cemetery, get the battery back up, and hopefully go from there. But this is a pretty cool find, which Cliff has filmed here before. This Regina Leininger, he had talked about in the French and Indian War series, this girl had been taken captive and been taken out to the Ohio Territory, and when the negotiations happened for the end of the war, they had to return any hostages that they had, and she was one of them. And he talked about that she was identified by her mother singing the hymn, and it's German, but it's a pretty neat story, because she was a hostage from 1755 to 1763 as a small child held captive by Native Americans. But pretty neat. I actually just called Cliff and asked him. I figured he knew about it, but you never know. But like I had said, a lot of these markers, when it's just like a field stone, they were slaves, and that are Native Americans. It was, unfortunately, in this area, there were, like, Isaac Meyer owned slaves, and there was another plantation that also had slaves of African origin as well. So that wasn't uncommon in this area. In honor of our ancestor George C. Harold, 1688 to 1749. Obviously a new marker, but that's pretty impressive. Whenever you find somebody that was born in the 1600s in a cemetery, it's always pretty neat. And there's a number of these field stones here. Like I said, I'm just going to basically go through, maybe check out some unique stones, that type. Ouch, my back. Oh, it's one thing you find, like these potholes. There's a cool one. It has like a heart. You always, like these older cemeteries, I just find so intriguing. This one has like the flower. Once again, a lot of these things are different symbology, mean different things, and German folklore, that type of thing. Now, I am going to head straight through down to some of these bigger stones, because I'm just slightly concerned that the phone's going to decide it wants to shut off again. I just like to get some cool, unique features. But like I said before too, this whole area, which I'm assuming is probably like some kind of plantation, some kind of thing. I'm not really understanding exactly what it is, because I've never been back there before. It's definitely something that I would like to find more information out about, and if I do, I will add to this video for the church and about whatever that is, because I'm sure there's some kind of history there that'll be able to tell you what it actually is. But yeah, these old cemeteries are quite neat. Here's another one where it's like a cherub, I believe. Pretty neat. I can say I am definitely not a fan of wind in winter. Just thinking board, I'm going to have to figure something out for over winter. If we get a ton of wind like this, I'm going to have to get a number of films done in a day, because I don't think I'm going to be going out in this a ton. There's a Kaiser. But yeah, these old cemeteries have so much history, so many stories of these different individuals, like who's all buried here. It's some of these different places that I visited, the older cemeteries, you find out later through Find a Grave that there's Pennsylvania House of Representatives or senators buried there, people with like really unique.
Alright, so I wanted to add this last little bit here at the end, just simply because I was having a lot of issues of how cold it was. The phone would just like randomly shut down. I've had issues with that in the past, but it was really bad. I think I got pretty much everything in with the cemetery that I was planning on, but it ends sort of abruptly, so I just wanted to have an ending with this as well. Really, really awesome cemetery. A lot of history. Probably going to go back at some point just because I want to do a little more research. But with that, I wanted to say thank you for coming along, and we will see you all about town.